All right. Hey guys, welcome to your third match of Discord Community Throwdown's first window. In this one, we're lucky enough to have Team Primal versus Looks and Death, and we're going to actually have some casters return to us this time. It's the same as we had in our last match. We really enjoyed them, and that would be Ham Tornado and Labosco. So, how are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Hello.
Doing
Excellent,
really good.
excellent. So yeah, let's kick things started. Let's start them off, and let's give me what you got here today.
All right. Well, thank you. And of course, we're glad to be here for another Discord community throwdown. Ham, it was fun last time, and I expect it to be the same. We've got two more teams going at it here again today. Looks and Death against Primal will be our two teams. And it looks like it's going to be another pretty fun day, and two teams that could be fairly evenly matched. Of course, there's a lot of players on either team, Ham, so who knows what we can see.
Yeah, it is going to be. Discord Community Throwdown, for those of you just joining us, if this is your first viewing into this little tournament that we have going on, Discord Community Throwdown is based in these rival Discords, gathering up their members, throwing together some teams, and battling it out for the prize, the pride mostly, and this is probably the pride. But yeah, so as you said, Labasco, these are going to be some pretty large teams coming in here. Right off the bat, Primal, they're going to be captained by Corey, and one of the notes that they gave us was this isn't the main roster because as a team they have a lot of subs. They have such a huge roster that they're not actually going to be able to list all of the substitutions that they have. But the main roster that they do have listed here is going to be Grace, aka Bay, Visors, Oh No Potato, love it, Rogue Native, H-Stop, and You Regret. And so this is a team, Primal, that really prefers to run that dive composition. No surprises there, as they do have, a Tracer, Lucio, Zenyatta amongst their main heroes. The core of this team has been together for about a year, so that's actually quite some time in Overwatch time, but the team, of course, has undergone quite a few changes, and today we'll likely also be seeing a fair number of substitutions. Their favorite map mode is King of the Hill or Control Point. And well, actually, I think they might be a little bit confused here. They've listed King of the Hill as their favorite map type and their least favorite map type as Control Point. And for those uninitiated, Control and King of the Hill are actually the same thing. So we'll see how that kind of pans out there. But Labasco, what can you tell us about the other team, Looks and Death?
Well, I can't help but wonder if maybe they meant assault when they said control points, because I mean, there is points on either of those map types, so maybe that's what they meant, and most people
Mm-hmm.
do hate assault. So that's my guess. But for Looks and Death, we've got a team that is a ragtag team of a bunch of mutual friends. They didn't quite give us all of their roster right away, but they do have a bunch of players that they're having sub in here today. But the one thing to pay attention to for them is they're also a dive team. So it's going to be dive v dive here. Their favorite map is the map that we're going to see first here, which is King's Row. So be sure to pay attention to see if we do see some dive v dive. And then their least favorite map is Junkertown. And I think the cool thing here, and something that we're seeing as a trend, Ham, communication, call outs, those are the things people are looking to improve upon. That's what Looks and Death is looking to improve upon, is their call outs. So this is definitely a good way to try and do that for sure. And it should be some good matches here.
Yeah, hey, if you're going to be trying to improve upon your callouts, dive composition is one of those team comps that relies very heavily upon the communication and synergy between the various, high mobility aspects of your dive team to, get the quick deletion, as dive is, all about living, dying, killing with speed.
Yes, and Kings Row is a map where generally dive can happen, but it's not always the best place to run it, especially on the first point. And as far as what we're seeing from the defense is we're kind of seeing a little bit of a hybrid, it looks like. We do have a Tracer, but we have the Junkrat as well. But our tanks are a Reinhardt and Zarya. So a little bit of an interesting comp. And if this is what Looks and Death runs, I will be impressed, shocked, and confused all at the same time.
I mean, you forgot to add entertained in there. I would certainly be entertained by a Symmetra Bastion Doomfist Hanzo combination. But Mayhem is going to dash all of our hopes there, switches off onto the Reinhardt. So it looks like Looks Undeath, they will also be running with the same tank lineup, heavy shield tanks, but their DPS, curiously, will be double sniper. Now, we have seen this team composition run in the past by pro teams in Overwatch League. NYXL comes immediately to mind. So Red Pill likely going to be putting in some long-range damage, while Zekken will be escorted by those shield tanks to put in some scatters. We already see that going off. Not going to be picking up any kills as of yet, but Looks Undeath will hopefully be trying to push forward using that Hanzo.
So watch as they probably fight at the choke here for a little bit, looking for their picks, and there it is, the first pick onto Oh No Potatoes. So that's the start. You might see the team initiate here, but a good defense holds them back as Vizros gets a couple with the pipe bomb and a little bit of help with it as well. So a good start here to the defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Primal, they're running the Junkrat Tracer combination. So on one hand, you're going to have that incredible shield burst potential with visors holding the front line behind that Reinhardt, and you also have Genji with that high mobility, able to make life really difficult for all of these squishies in the Looks and Death backline. Zekken already has that Dragon Strike going to unleash it. Everybody gets out of the way. The Primal team going to get bisected, and Looks and Death, that's their go signal.
That is definitely the go signal. They also have a Tracer now. Earth Shatter gets 3, but there was a sound barrier prior to the Earth Shatter, so doesn't actually take anybody out. And Red Pill will get everybody else with the help of the rest of his team in behind, and they will eventually flip this point. Good way for them, Ham, to take that one. By the way, the Tracer switch happening. And really quickly, Looks versus Death in red, Primal in blue.
Yeah, that's right. Red, Looks, and Death. Oh, actually, Zekken, overstaying his welcome a little bit, gets caught out by a concussion mine from visors. That may be a little bit of time fought off the clock for this Primal defense, but they may not need too much to set up in their hold here on Streets Phase. Visor with that tire going to be huge. The question is whether or not he'll be looking to combo it with the Graviton Surge from Rogue Native. Of course, that's going to be a huge team wipe potentially, but they may want to split up those ultimates for maximum value.
And Riptire getting used here. Visor's looking for somebody from behind. Finds a target finally in Red Pill, so the Tracer out of the picture. They're going to probably have to wait here to try and push this one. They are going to stay on the point as well, and it'll actually force out a couple extra ults that might have been a little bit extra with the Graviton Surge and the Pulse Bomb, but they are going to get the team wipe here as Severe Matrix gets hit by Genji, who is not playing Genji, but playing Tracer.
Oh, that's going to be a thonker head scratcher right there. I apologize in advance. I'm certainly going to mess it up. But interestingly, Looks and Death, now that they do have the payload free from that point A take, it's going to be Zekken now swapped onto the Pharah here. A really unusual pick, especially in the Streets phase, and particularly in that he will be flying naked. No Mercy bringing up his back here as Midoriya and Hitakotu are going to be on the Lucio, Zenyatta and Lucio respectively.
Not a bad hero for Streets phase. There is a lot of verticality at the very least, Ham. And the other thing to pay attention to as well, though, all those ultimates that were used by Primal really puts them at a disadvantage here. That's why they've been getting pushed back and allowing for the cart to get to that second corner now. They still do have the sound barrier, which gets used now. Good charge in onto the Reinhardt, and now the counter to the Shatter in the Transcendence, which Visor's still able to get Zekken, who wasn't in the Transcendence. So good start to this fight for the defensive team. There's the counter. Shatter gets a couple, but there's not the follow-up there as the Coalescence is doing the damage that's needed and forcing everyone back. So the defense holds strong here around that second corner, and we know this is a bad spot to be if you're an offensive team.
Oh, it's very difficult to push here because it's a long walk through the entirety of Streets phase, and if anybody gets picked off before they can get to the payload or in the middle of the team fight, it's going to be another long sojourn for them to reinforce with the rest of their team. However, Zekken, we see, is going to have a barrage here looking for a cheeky flank. There is going to be a Mercy on the field. Midoriya swapping onto that Swiss healer to make sure to try and keep Zekken alive during this barrage. Always very risky. Flanking barrage in, not going to connect on anybody as Zekken finds himself at the wrong end of a laser beam.
The rest of his team doing some work, though. They took the advantage of the shield being turned away to take out a couple of players, and the sound barrier to initiate helped them get to this point where they're now going to be able to push this cart the rest of the way, as scrambling to get back together is the rest of Primal as they back away, charging Reinhardt to try and maybe come back, but they're not going to have the time to get there, and they will take this next point, and now we'll move on to the final phase of King's Row.
Ooh, that's actually a really unfortunate stagger as well. Red Pill getting the drop onto Genji. That means that Primal's going to have to cede a little bit of space while they wait for their Tracer to get back into the midst of the fight. However, Primal, they do have a couple of ultimates online. They've been successful with that Pulse Bomb Graviton Surge combo in the past, and Genji and Rogue Native going to be looking to lay in both of their ultimates at the correct time here. We actually see a flank, a really long charge all the way away from the point as H-Dog gets taken down by Red Pill. That's actually not going to be such a good start for Primal, but nonetheless, Pulse Bomb does come through.
Graviton Pulse combination works again for Genji and the Zarya and Rogue Native. Now the rest of the team, though, trying to handle what's left, but having a little bit of issues as Zekin does get off a barrage that will take out the Moira. So the cart will still be able to advance here a little bit, but for how long? The respawn's, of course, in favor of the defensive team, and they do have some ultimates that they have on bank here. Now just trying to regroup is the offense, and Red Pill, though, will get Genji, who got a little bit too aggressive on that Tracer, so now a chance here, Ham, for them to try and go back in this fight.
Yeah, and Looks and Death, they're trying to capitalize off of the 5v6 here. Midoriya is going to pop that Valkyrie, trying to siege their way onto the cart here. Looks and Death, though, not getting a lot of damage in, having a difficult time getting past H-Dog's Reinhardt shield. Going to lay down the Earth Shatter, and it's a big one, folks. Hammer going mad here. He takes down the second Pitakotu. All of Looks and Death going to be on the wrong side of some damage here. As Primal, they look to stabilize around this third corner.
H-Dop making up for that charge earlier that missed and ended up just getting him killed by nobody. So a good way to sort of make up for everything here. And they have a bunch of ultimates left for this next fight. There is the Earth Shatter on the other side. And of course, that can be a game-changing ultimate. But the Graviton Surge to start this fight off. And the big, huge Pulse Bomb from Genji gets 5 and then finishes it up with the kill onto the Mercy afterwards. That's a team wipe. And that one is amazing. They couldn't do anything to mitigate the damage from the Pulse Bomb.
Grab a dustpan and call me a piece of lint, man. My jaw is still on the floor. I need help getting it back up into my face. What an insane combination right there. I mean, we're in London, but people in Japan were feeling that Pulse Bomb combination right here. However, Severe Matrix going to be looking to bring in his own Graviton Surge, but they will be met with visors, tack visors, fittingly. Soldier only going to be getting 2 here, though. Genji gets taken out by Zekin. So Primal still holding with 3 members of their defense, but they might want to try back up a little bit, give a little bit more space so they don't get staggered out before the rest of the team can re-establish this defense.
And it's been all just who can do the better job without ultimates. Both teams without, and all finally getting one. There was Red Pill finds the target into H-Stop, and now the team just trying to deal with the Tracer here. Out comes the stall tactics from Visors, who's on the main now to get on there. Res onto H-Stop, big res to get them back into this fight with some numbers. They just have to be able to take everyone here, and the Earth Shatter doesn't get anything. Is the big thing there, and the defense is going to be able to hold up as Looks and Death is going to get eliminated here. They've got 12 seconds to try and get back to the cart.
Ooh, a painful last-second stagger onto Severe Matrix as well. H-Dop, I mean, that was actually a crucial resurrection. You saw Visors put up the wall and hop in front of it. A curious thing for to see a May do, but it was actually trying to protect Cultural Alio as he brought back the Reinhardt, which ended up being the linchpin of that last fight. Sound Barrier now down from Oh No Potato, trying to win out this last battle.
Charge didn't get anything, but now the Dragon Blade Red Bill helping out with the blade as well. The damage being done by Zekin is enough, and the Tracer's cleaning up everything else. Graviton Surge, though, here onto everyone, but there's not enough follow-up as it's just H-Stop and Visors. Almost falling off was Hitakodu, but now able to stay alive somehow was Hitakodu as his team's able to continue to get these out. The res coming in to try and keep it going on H-Stop, who gets a Pulse Bomb onto him and doesn't live through it. Now they can try and push this cart the rest of the way if they can take care of the Genji and Rogue Native. And Genji, of course, a Tracer, though. Just want to point that out. Of course, a little bit confusing to hear. And Visors on the main trying to get them out, but it's not going to matter. They're going to get this point here as the Mercy gets taken out. Just the Lucio trying to stall as long as possible, and now they finally take it here in overtime. Great job from Looks and Death to push through a very hard final point.
That was such a back and forth between both of these teams, looking extremely dominant. As the wind blew. I mean, Primal with that insane 5K Big Bang Pulse Bomb combo, but there's also moments where we saw towards that very end of the fight, H-Top had actually worked up to yet another Earth Shatter, hammered down at the exact moment that Visor boosted him up on a Mei wall, utterly nullifying that ultimate. And that's just that was just a feels bad, man. It's okay, nobody saw that. But
Vegeta will be proud of that Big Bang, though, that's for sure.
Certainly.
But you were starting to go on. Now you have the offensive attempts from Primal now, and they definitely show that this is something that they can potentially take here and have time on the clock and force the fact that they'll have to play defense and fight for a draw for looks and death.
Yeah, I mean, the ball's in Primal's court now. If they manage to finish out this map as well, they'll be pushing it into a round 3. If they can do it with time, with over a minute, they will have secured themselves an attacking round, whereas Looks and Death will only be able to play for a draw. So Primal definitely going to be very incentivized to push as hard, as fast as they can. And it looks like they'll be pulling out a triple tank with a Widowmaker, most likely.
And of course, that's the whole key, like you said, though, is over a minute if you want to not have to play an additional defense. And of course, you don't want to draw on this map, though, either, because, I mean, sure, it's nice to get 3 points, but you want that extra point. You want to get 4. So for those of you maybe not familiar with the scoring, you get 4 points for a win, 3 points for a draw. You also will get 2 points if you at least get onto the map, or if you at least get on the board and score, and 1 point if you don't score at all. So you still get a point even if you don't get anything up, but I don't think that Primal is thinking that they'll only get 1 point here, as they're going to make their first attempt onto this, and we see that they're going to have the Roadhog here. They're going triple tank.
Certainly a lot of eyes going to be on Genji this time, representing them Piggy Brethren. Ham from another fam, the Roadhog, but it is going to be Mayhem connecting with a great charge kill onto Oh No Potato to start things off. So Primal likely going to be resetting here. But when you are running this triple tank with a Roadhog, there is going to be a lot of pressure on your Pig to land those hooks, because otherwise, if you whiff, you're going to be a giant walking ultimate battery for another 7 seconds before you can get that ability back up from cooldown. In the meantime, you would have Looks and Death's defense here. Zekken, most notably on that Soldier 76, peppering in that consistent damage, working up towards attack visor. Already nearly 60% there.
76% for an Earth Shatter as well for Mayhem, as they look to go around to the right side this time, going to take that high ground. Oh, good pull in by Genji. Gets the initial pick for Zekken, so you got the Soldier off the high ground. That's kind of the go button there for this team in Primal, as they now take out Red Pill, who misses with the Pulse Bomb.
Oh, I think he actually fed Rogue Native's charge as well. This Zarya glowing with the energy of 1,000 suns. 94% up to a Graviton Surge. Hitakotu going for that Desperation Resurrect, not going to get anything but a hammer to the face. As Primal, they look to take this first point A in record time as well.
Very good time, as they will get it here in just a second. They did try to come in with Transcendence. That might have been ill-advised, and that'll lead into a big Earth Shatter because of it. Oh no, Potato getting Red Pill here. Visor they've used some ultimates. They're only going to hurt their team, as this is going to be a very quick push through the first half of the Streets phase, thanks to it, as they continue to clean up the rest of the team here, and a big stagger onto Hitakotu, who was caught out on the Mercy.
That's a feels bad, man. I mean, anytime you're hopping backwards as quickly as you can, I mean, anybody who's made it through elementary school knows that running backwards not nearly as effective as trying to go forwards. And so Primal going to get nearly 50% free push through this Streets phase. And the key thing to note here, they still have 4 ultimates to their name. Big on the board is going to be that Graviton Surge into the whole hog combination possibly, but Mayhem being sneaky here, looking for that flanking shatter. I think he has been sniffed out, though. Yeah, he is going to pull at the shield. Just play that shield battle.
Visor's very close to the Pulse Bomb as well, so of course you could use that. Looks like they're going to go Meat Grinder, though. Visors does manage to get one through it. Genji getting Severe Matrix, so you have the Zarya out of the way. Sound Barrier to keep everybody up and ensure that they get this point here. Just Zekken left on the Roadhog to try and capture the point. Not going to matter, though, or slow down the point, but it's not going to matter. Zekken taken out and handled there along with Mayhem.
Oh, poor pig just tried to run for his life. No, he's getting chased out. Wow, amazingly, Primal have not yet been able to finish him off. This is actually insane. It's ring around the Rosie, ring around the piggy, actually. Get the bubble as well. Finally, though, does get taken down, actually, on the end of a bunny blaster from Cultural Alios. That's going to feels bad.
The Mercy got tired of his team not finishing everyone, or her team finishing everyone off, so just took matters into her own hands. It's basically what it is.
Yeah,
And, you know, that's why she's got that blaster, right?
Pew, pew.
Exactly. Is now the fight here on to the final point. Still a difficult thing to do, even though they have a large time bank. Missing with the pulse bomb was visors onto the target, but it does still manage to get Hitakatu as the rest of the team is falling as well, and it looks like they're going to be able to get this here. Not anyone left except for Red Pill behind, who got flashbang but not finished off there, and they finally do. And it's with a very, very large amount of time on the board, Ham. So they will now have a chance to win this map if they can get 33% in a little over 4 minutes. 4:02.
That's a larger starting time bank than you get fresh on the first round of King's Row. So Looks and Death definitely going to have their work cut out for them to hold Primal, full hold Primal actually, keep them from getting even a single tick on point A of King's Row. But as we know, stranger things have happened here. Primal, they looked somewhat shaky on their defense, but they're definitely a very aggressive team and know how to get the most value out of those ultimate combos to push their way through this point. So Looks and Death, it's going to be Hitakatu on the Junkrat potentially for this defense. Junkrat, of course, always a really great hero. You can work up to that tire in a single fight off the backs of these meaty Primal tanks. So that'll be something that our attacking team will surely have to watch out for coming into this next round.
We're going to go with Red Pill on the Zenyatta as well, who we've seen playing the DPS role. What do you think? It looks like they think maybe they're going to see triple tank with the fact that they're going with not only the Junkrat, but also the Pharah. How does this change what you see from Primal, or what does it change that Primal has to do with the fact that there is two such high damage characters that'll be out there?
4.
Well,
3,
I mean, it
2,
is going to be difficult to try
1.
and win out the shield battle
Attackers
against both the
incoming.
Junkrat and a Pharah.
Defend
I mean, there's basically
objective
two
A.
ways to deal with a Pharah in the air. You either focus her down immediately as target numero uno, or you just ignore her and hope that she's not going to be hitting her shots. Primal, they aren't going to be running any dedicated hit scan. They actually have visors on the Doomfist, a really rare hero pick, especially in today's meta, as the fight evolving here on the point, getting the first bodies in contestation here.
They have the control of the point right now, but Red Pill getting the first kill onto the supports. Both supports down here now, so it's pretty much a lost fight as they just decide to clean up here.
Yeah, I mean, Primal looking a little bit scattered. We saw Visors go onto the high ground, try and challenge out Severe Matrix in the airspace above the point, but that's kind of like trying to hit a fly with a slingshot. Doomfist in the best of days is always a very streaky hero. You want to try and get those charges, those fist charges off onto the enemy players where there are a lot of walls you can smash them up against. So we do see Genji onto the McCree now, Visors picking up the Tracer, and this is a lot more standard, and I think it's going to be a little bit more consistent for the attacking side.
But they've done part of their job. 4 minutes they had to kill off. They've already killed off one. So a good start to the defense here. But that's not a good start. Genji getting the Pharah out of the picture makes things difficult to charge in here to try and get revenge. But Hitakatu only able to get Genji. Rest of the team falling here, and they can't even get onto the point, as it'll be a map win for Primal on here on King's Row. And him, it was just a very dominant offensive push from them. Their defense still gave up 3 points, but they did the work needed on offense.
Yeah, certainly Primal, it was very clear that this team knew what their win conditions were. Check out this great play of the game. No words needed, man. I mean, just beautiful all comboing, right? That's right, you spray. You deserved it, Genji. Good heads-up awareness. But yeah, Primal, they knew exactly what they needed to do. Even if they weren't able to get a team kill onto Looks and Death, all they had to do is get enough bodies on the point where Looks and Death couldn't push them off, couldn't bully them away. Hold that for a few seconds, and then you've taken King's Row.
And King's Row taking it is what they did, exactly how you said. And one thing that I think was interesting that we saw there in this first map, Ham, was we did not see a diva from either side. And Diva is just such a linchpin character right now that it's interesting to see that maybe if you're either side, if you try and take advantage of that, even though there is the Zarya on the other side, it's not a hard counter to have Zarya against you.
Yeah, certainly not. I mean, especially when you're running a very tank heavy lineup, uh, each one of the tank's individual carry potential decreases significantly. And you do bring up a really good point though, Labasco, choosing not to have that damage mitigation, instead going for a little bit more offensive power, running, instead a Roadhog, running instead a Zarya. So interesting looks from both of these teams. However, we do see a couple of player swaps coming in for this roster, as we will be moving on into Oasis next, I believe.
Yeah, it
So,
looks like that's where
yeah.
we're going. But when we talk about a control point map, King of the Hill, uh, with what we've seen from both teams, what do we think? Do we think we'll see some more triple tank, or what is Oasis's strengths? Especially, obviously, there's 3 different maps, but what is the predominant thing to look for?
I mean, it depends kind of on what maps we're going to. Garden, definitely a really good map for Farah, as we did see Looks and Death prefer that hero on King's Row. I mean, Oasis is very unique in that a lot of different types of team compositions can work there. Dive, of course, always very strong, especially on control point, where with that jump pad, it can be very difficult to actually achieve a team wipe in order to flip the control of that point into your favor when the enemy team is running a dive. A lot of high mobility heroes. So one thing that I will be looking out for, based off of what you mentioned, Lobo, is whether or not either of these teams will choose to run a diva here. On control point, choosing not to run a diva with dive or with, the triple quadruple tank is very rare look, where you really need not just the potential for that zoning diva self-destruct, but also just that defense matrix, so handy for eating up any kind of projectile, not just ultimates, but just vanilla fire from your Pharas, your McCrees, your soldiers, your tracers. Having that diva there to provide not only damage but peel for your supports is going to be crucial.
And mobility is just more important on Oasis. A little more of a wide open map on most of the map types, so you
Mm-hmm.
want to have a little bit more mobility regardless. But not only that, it generally fits in the better with the comps that you will see on Oasis. And I guess this is part of why I was asking about the diva, is because most maps it's more beneficial to have a diva than it is to not.
Mm-hmm. Certainly. I mean, she's kind of a very well-rounded, all-around off tank, right? And I mean, hey, some of those players even super handy with that baby diva bunny blaster. I mean, you think about great baby divas, Cool Matt, one of the deadliest baby divas in top tier Overwatch, and so she's a multi-threat hero. And yeah, so not seeing her in the lineup is certainly something very interesting. Of course, though, both of our teams still just making sure that their rosters are set here in the lobby moving into Oasis. And I think, another hero that I would be really curious to see if either of these teams pull out is Sombra, right? I mean, we had that new patch come through, and she's kind of a lot more of a DPS hero, more viable, I think, in the hands of more players these days.
Yes, definitely. And I think we're just almost ready. I think just making some subs here. So that's the fun thing too, Ham. All these subs, we don't know what we're going to see.
Yeah. I mean, we can only kind of guess what these teams may be preferring to run. Um, Genji, though, been a great carry DPS for the Primal team. Both he and Visors showing a good depth of hero pool, and so once again, it's kind of that Primal bringing that multi-threat, right? You're not really sure what the team might be, what kind of a outfit the team might be strolling out of spawn with today.
You definitely don't. And Genji not playing Genji either is also what you can expect from what we've seen so far. Very good on that Tracer, though, obviously getting that play of the game. And I feel like the DPS on the other side has been pretty good as well. Red Pill and Zekin predominantly. We did see Hidakatu switch over to the DPS role a little bit later. But regardless, Looks and Death is still in this one. 4-2 if you go by the points that you get for each map after map number 1. And now, of course, we go to Control Point. Oasis, where we are, teams are on the same sides as they were before. Primal is still in the blue, and in the red is still Looks and Death. And from what we're seeing here from Looks and Death, it looks like you were right that we are potentially seeing that Pharah along with Red Pill on the Tracer. And looks like we're going to see a straight up dive on the other side with Genji and Tracer being the first 2 heroes that we see.
A good 2-2-2 from Primal, and Looks and Death going with the Pharah Tracer combination. And it is nice to see Midoriya on the Mercy, just making sure that Pharah gets all the pocketing that she needs, floating around free here on city center, where the skybox super high, and so Zekin will be able to fly pretty free here. Primal not going to be running any dedicated hit scan for the anti-air effort. Of course, one of the difficulties when you are running that Tracer Pharah combination is syncing up in terms of target focus. Labasco, you mentioned that both of these teams are looking to work on their callouts, their synergy, and so that's going to be something to watch out for from this Looks of Death team.
Yeah, and if you're a fan of the Overwatch League, you know what great synergy looks like because you saw it just yesterday when the London Spitfire were playing the Dallas Fuel. And why do I say that? Chips High-End is the person you can ask about that because he was mercilessly taken out by a giant gorilla and a small, very fast British woman multiple times. So when you can combine your tracer and when you can have that focus fire, it's such a huge advantage. As we see here, Primal deciding to go up onto the high ground to start this map off, maybe anticipating that there might be that Pharah. It takes away a little bit of that height that the Pharah will have. Of course, a little bit smaller of an area to shoot the Pharah as they now put their way onto the point. And the first one to go down is Mayhem taking out the Mercy on the side of Primal, but Visors getting the Diva out of mech could be the thing that turns this around, and it looks like that might be the case.
Oh, goodness gracious. You might think that not having your primary healer in the fight is going to be a huge disadvantage, but Primal says, I don't need healing when everybody else on the enemy team is dead. So they will be taking a first point cap. However, with the Winston getting taken very low, Regro was forced to jump away, and the rest of the team, though, a couple of squishies still left, just trying to eke out a few more percentage points here before they give it over to Looks and Death, who have been coming in with force. Red Pill taking out both of the opposing DPS. Impressive play.
Some great stalling here happening by Oh No Potato inside, able to stay alive, now come back outside just to continue to allow this to build up as it's the 30%. Oh No Potato, the only one left inside alone, and finally gets taken out, but now three of his teammates have gotten back to the point so they can stall a little bit longer.
This is an incredible toe-tapping, as we might call it, style of defense here. Everybody just, chipping in, playing a little bit of musical chairs here, as Racer Advisors are going to be down. But Regrow, a single monkey versus the world, going to see if he can get a couple more percentage points on here. He does have the Primal Raid in hand, might not need to use it, chooses not to use it, as he gets taken down very quickly by Red Pill. Interestingly, neither of these teams have chosen to use ultimates. They're going to have an extremely well-stocked ultimate bank. Looks and Death actually have all 6 online now that they have finally flipped the point to try and hold this.
They did get to 63%. Now here's the thing. 6 ultimates on the side of Looks and Death is what Primal has to go. And sure, they have a lot of ultimates, Ham, but this is still going to be a tall task.
Yeah, I mean, certainly any single one of these heroes going down early could spell doom, and it's going to be Cultural Leo eating a pulse bomb right off the bat. And so Primal, they'll likely be ceding a little bit of space. It looks like they might still want to be trying to fight it out here on jump pad, but with your Mercy, your primary healer down once again, unlikely that they're going to pull the same miracle offense that they did in the first point.
Racer on the point up top, trying to stall it as long as possible. The Dragon Blade will come out here. Hasn't been able to get anybody with it, though, for Visors. His team is just losing this battle here, as they'll be up to almost 50% now, as Looks and Death looking really good on this control point map.
And the crucial thing is they only needed to use 2 ultimates to try and hold that out. Visors, after that unfortunate Dragon Blade, he actually tried to dash up onto the high ground to slice at Pharah, but hit his head on the bottom of the ledge, and so he was forced to run away with his tail between his legs, or his sword over his back, as it were. Zekin picks up 3 incredible barrage kills, actually, a 4th if you count himself. But so this might be the opening that Primal needs to re-engage.
The only problem was their self-destruct didn't work. Mayhem was able to block it with a bubble, took his own life in order to do it, but that's okay. The rest of his team is still holding on. Alt advantage has finally gone over to Primal, but Red Pill built up a pulse bomb so fast once again that they can use this and maybe find another target. Sound barrier to initiate here, but the later sound barrier comes from the side of Looks and Death. That's always what you want, but the Visor doesn't care about that sound barrier and just rips through it by Genji finding 2. Red Pill will find Oh No Potato afterwards, though, but it's going to be a hard fight here to win for the side of Primal. Just as they get these last couple of kills. Racer and Regro, the two tanks, doing the damage needed, and now just Red Pill stalling as long as possible. They're at 99%.
Next time.
Here we go, Primal. They expended almost everything that they had in the bank in order to flip that point, but on the other side, Looks and Death, they will also be empty in terms of ultimates. So the playing field has been leveled even once again. Primal, though, they have to be cognizant. They cannot give up a single other fight, or Looks and Death will likely take this first round of Oasis.
Damn it.
See when Regro decides to use that Primal Rage, holding that one for a while, have the self-destruct back as well. Pulse Bomb does get one for Visors. Looked like it was going to miss, but Hitokatsu still gets caught by it. Now Primal Rage on to Midoriya, gets stuck in the corner. Visors finishing him off, though, as he was just stuck there thanks to that just angry Winston. As the overtime meter now coming down here for Primal as they look to hold on to this one. Red Pill does get Genji, though. The rest of his team trying to get what they can here. Primal Rage by the Winston to stall out as the rest of the team starts to come back. Stalling inside, just trying to keep himself alive as Hitokatsu was able to get back into this fight, just stalling out. They have no idea where he is, so he can stall out as his team starts to come back. Now the attack Visor from the other side, but it's not getting a lot of damage out from Zekin, who gets taken out by Racer. Rest of the team trying to get back. It's just a matter of time before they can get this, and still you have the Lucio stalling in the middle.
Hey, I mean, he's not known as a bumpin' frog boy for nothing, parkouring for his life inside this tiny tower, but it will be for naught. Cultural Leo takes him down, and that will be the first round, going over to Primal. A close one, though, much closer than we saw there on King's Row, 100 to 99%.
Very close, but of course the chance to take this second map coming up for the side of Primal, as it looks like we will be on, for the map, it is Gardens.
Yep. There we go. Zekin, curiously, though, having shown the Pharah in the previous map, is not going to choose to play that same hero, going to swap onto the Genji instead. So perhaps Primal was countering him fairly strongly. He showed his hand a little bit. JK, Caster Curse strikes again. It will be a Pharah Pharmacy for Looks and Death moving out into round 2. Visors, likely expecting something of the sort, is already on the McCree.
See how Visors handle Zekin on the Pharaoh. Handled it pretty well last time when they were on King's Row. But Zekin will get the better first, getting Cultural Leo out of the picture first. But Regro and Genji doing the work that's needed to force back Looks and Death, as they will have to regroup.
Oh no, Potato getting the oh no, Boop, you're dead onto both the Mercy and the D-Mech onto Severe Matrix. So once again, Primal showing that even though they got the early man disadvantage, Cultural Leo being the first one to fall in that fight, they more than make up for it by racking up those kills very quickly. Actually able to get Midoriya as she went in for the resurrection onto the Pharah as well. So good target focus from Primal thus far.
Are you surprised that they're still going with the Fire Mercy combo and that they're not going to switch maybe to what they showed earlier, that Genji and Zen?
It is a little bit curious, as Control Center is very hard to push as a pharmacy composition, as we see Zekin getting taken down by Visors once again. It's much easier to hold opponents defensively. However, Looks and Death and Zekin taking up towards 60% to that barrage may want to give this just one more go.
Visors, though, showing them that maybe they should rethink that strategy. Midoriya just going to go off the side. Zekin does manage to find Genji, but Zekin taken out by Racer afterwards, and now we might see that switch happen.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, Looks and Death, this is not a good look for them, as we see Primal, they haven't had to use a single ultimate. They're going to have 4, nearly 6 to their name. Zekin does make that swap now onto the Genji, but with this hero swap, Looks and Death, they're empty in terms of ultimates besides the 2 tanks. Of course, though, Severe Matrix can open up the point with a well-paced Diva self-destruct.
Restore you.
Midoriya actually going on to the Moira there. The pulse bomb to get Hitokatsu early on. So you're already down your Lucio at the start of this fight, and the rest of the team just takes care of business and forces back Looks and Death once again. So this is the only disadvantage for waiting that extra fight, though, Ham. Already up to 80% is this, and that third fight ends up being a loss, and you're not very close to the ultimates of some important characters.
Yeah, this is going to be very difficult for Looks and Death to try and push in here just with the vanilla Overwatch coming up against both stalling tank elements as well as the overshield from Ono Potato's Sound Bear. At the very last second, he does manage to get that ultimate off. However, in the meantime, Cultural Leo has already gone down. Trading fairly evenly will be both teams.
Mayhem with a very good bubble to get the self-destructing mech of the Diva and Racer. The rest of his team, though, falling around him. It's still a very even fight. Genji here trying to deal with the Diva. Gets the pulse bomb. Doesn't get the kill onto Racer off of it, though. But it's not going to matter. Genji's still doing the work that's needed for the moment. But as his team starts to spawn back in.
Cultural Leo actually are able to get the resurrection off onto Racer as well. Zekken's going to have to pull a Miracle Blade, Agility's level blade, in order to carry his team. Fortunately, he only gets one before he himself is sent back to respawn. It's going to be just a couple of squishies here from Looks and Death trying to stall him out this point, but going up against the full 6-man might of Primal. We even have visors on the Sombra here for a little bit more speed, a little bit more stall ability. It's going to be very difficult. Oh no, Winston jumps a little bit too high, cosplaying Icarus there, and that will be the map going to Primal.
So 2-0 now as far as the maps go, but as far as points go, Ham, it goes now 8-3 because they did not get a point on this map. So it is a little bit of a tough spot to be in for both of these, for Looks and Death, but with a couple more maps, they can turn this one around still.
Hey, I mean, reverse sweeps are 100% possible here in Overwatch, and Looks and Death, I mean, they'll be fighting for every single point because, folks, this is not whose line is it anyways. Every single point matters because I do believe that the Discord community throwdown in the very end will be adding up all of the total points gained by these teams to determine the standings. So even if you aren't able to complete a map, it still incentivizes these teams to try and fight for every single point.
And now we look towards our next map. We'll see what this next map ends up being here as well. But the big thing here is Looks and Death looked so good on that first point, had a chance to win it. Unfortunately, the right switches came in from Primal. Of course, credit to Primal for doing what they needed to counter what Looks and Death was throwing at them. But do you think that maybe Looks and Death is maybe holding on to something that they're trying a little bit too long?
I mean, it was fair to, keep the Pharah maybe 2 tries, but the thing is, I mean, the Pharah already didn't work so well on Control Center, or City Center, excuse me. I mean, you got, Zekken, to his credit, did get a beautiful barrage off right on the heads of Primal there. I believe it was like a 3 or 4K. But after that, he wasn't really able to get a whole lot done just with, Mouse 1. And unfortunately, when you're coming up against an enemy team like Primal, you can't really be relying simply on the ultimates in order to win out those fights because those big abilities take a long time to build up and you're not always going to have them up on call. So it might have been a good look for Zekken to have swapped onto the Genji a little bit earlier, or even, come out of the gate with that Genji. He has shown to be, pretty talented on that hero.
And we saw Zekken also debating it before the doors opened, decided to go back to the Pharah Mercy combo. And like you said, it's not a bad thing to try, but maybe just, obviously in hindsight, it's easier to say maybe they should have made the switch sooner. But it's one of those things that they can always look at and consider, why didn't the Pharah work? Was it because the hit scan was too strong, or was there other determining factors though too? And I think that's bigger questions that they'll get to answer here in doing these games. Sure, it's, of course, they want to have the bragging rights, but they also want to get better. I think that's the one thing that cannot be missed from doing this.
Certainly. I mean, pride is on the line, but these teams, I mean, these Discord's friends, IRL friends as well, they've been playing together for a long time, and it's, a time to test their mettle against other, pug and pre-made teams. So there's always something to be learned, going up against an enemy team, even if you do end up having to take the L. And so moving on into our next map, which I do believe will be Route 66, I'd be curious to see what DPS Looks and Death bring out, because their tank play, I feel, has been fairly consistent thus far. It's kind of been just a question of what DPS heroes they will be playing around.
And I'm curious to see, we've seen a lot of Tracer. Red Pill very good on the Tracer, there's no doubt about that. Zekin has shown a pretty wide variety of heroes that Zekin can play as well. So there is some different looks that they can mix up. Obviously, Red Pill's played more than just the Tracer, but when you have such a good Tracer, we know how important a Tracer can be for a team.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I mean, Tracer, she is the face of Overwatch and one of the, highest impact heroes, even survived many a meta change. So you can never really go wrong with having a good Tracer on your side. I'd be curious to see if Looks and Death, come out with the standard 2-2-2 dive, perhaps, or, once again, there's always hoping, maybe a Sombra, maybe a Reaper, expecting a defensive Sombra. There's all kinds of back and forth counterplays that these teams can try and mind game each other with. What are you going to be like? We'll just armchair theory craft here. What's the 2 heroes that you would really like to see come out here on on Route 66?
Symmetra and Torbjorn. No. The 2 characters I really like seeing Sombra on first point defense. I think that it can be really strong in the right hands. We've seen it make some very good holds happen. In fact, it almost forced a game 5. If you look at what happened between Dallas and London just the other day,
yeah,
because they had such a great first defense hold. The rest of their hold didn't go so well, unfortunately for them. But that's the potential that could be had with Sombra. And then the other character that I'd like to see is this is a map where you can have some Widowmaker play, and Widowmaker is such a game-changing character when she's on the field because she just changes how you have to play around either a shield or you have to try and dive her. You have to make a lot more decisions that you don't necessarily make when she's not there. And the amount of room that a Widow makes is pretty crazy. Even if it's not a good Widow, the Widow will still make room.
You're absolutely right, Labosco. I mean, you bring up such a good point. I mean, people talk about, oh, this Widow isn't hitting enough shots, so on and so forth. But, you have to remember that she's a hero that changes the face of the field without firing a single shot. You can, pray to the Overwatch gods and stand out in the open, not respecting those sightlines, just hoping that the enemy Widow will miss. But that's not really a risk that you want to take, especially if you're on the defense and, a single pick can make or break that fight, So she's going to be forcing the positioning from the enemy team. If nothing else, where they're going to likely be holed up, trying to stay out of that Widowmaker sniper scope.
And you know who's pretty good too? If there is a Widow on the side of the offense and you're a defensive team, the character that I was alluding to before that I'd like to see in Sombra, because invisibility
is. Say Symmetra.
Yeah, right, Symmetra, right? Because if she gets
up to her,
just throw that shield, walking behind that shield all the way and microwave her to death. Yes, that can work.
Yeah, right.
But no, Sombra with the invisibility though, Ham, is someone who can get to a Widow without being detected as long as wall hacks aren't on, and one clip now a Widowmaker.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if nothing else, she can force a Widowmaker off of her preferred perch. And that grapple hook, even with, this was actually a patch that came through quite some time ago, but with the buff onto the grapple time, I mean, that still is on, I believe, an 11-second cooldown. So you can take a Widowmaker out of the fight, off of the high ground for, a certain set amount of time that you've done a pretty good job as a Sombra. And we do see here on the field, at least early on, please, Genji, stay on this Sombra.
And it looks like that might be the case, is that we do get to see some Sombra play here from Primal, who will be on defense again. And look at that. We're going to have the Widowmaker as well from Mayhem, it looks like. So maybe Mayhem's playing with my heart, though. Red Pill on the May right now. And, yep, they're just playing with me. They're just playing with. But Midoriya is on Hanzo.
You never know.
Well, now Red Pill's on Widow. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. They're just playing around with me. They just know that's what I want to see. The other thing, though, to consider here, too, and when you're talking about Widowmaker play, she is very vulnerable when her team is up forward attacking and she's by herself. So if you have a character that can close the gap between her really fast, she needs to just kind of get a lucky headshot. Otherwise, she's pretty much done. So the Sombra is really good for that. Genji, we always see, is somebody who can close the gap really well. Tracer is another one, but Tracer and Genji a little bit more vulnerable just because the Widow can see before with the long sight line. So we do get to see Red Pill on the Widow, and we do get to see Sombra. I'm a happy man.
There we go. Counterplay in action, folks, as Primal is going to be set up on that traditional big Earls holding ground with visors on that defensive 76 as tanks trying to give him a little bit of room as the payload makes its way towards this small gas station. The looks and deaths, neither side going to be, as I said though, Caster Cursed Mayhem, he will be the first one down. And so as you mentioned, Labasco, looks and death going to have a very hard time pushing here. Widowmaker of Red Pill not going to be really able to lend his body to the fight to try and get some pressure on. Will have to grapple away.
Red Pill did get a nice kill onto Genji, though, using the submachine gun to eventually take him out. Able to stay alive, even though the rest of his team had to fall back. So the one good thing here that happened that we saw was that you had the team just kind of go around and away out of the sight line, using that sign on Big Earls to stop. Now Genji getting into the back line takes out Midoriya. So this is exactly what you want to do as a defending team when there is that Widowmaker.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sombras love to feast not just on Widowmakers, but any of those squishy backline heroes. Zenyatta, a favorite one of her snack. You would think that Omnic is a bit hard to chew through, but Genji making quick work of Midoriya. So now, like, looks and death have getting a little bit staggered, a little bit scattered here, as Primal trying to make full usage of their advantageous position.
And Red Pill, rightfully so, is going to switch off of the Widowmaker here. Probably a good decision. Just wasn't going to get the value out of it that they could. Some good shots did come out from Red Pill, though, is the good thing at the very least. But now the EMP coming out here to swing things in the favor of the defense again with the visor, with nothing to block it. Finally, the bubble gets to come out, but it's too little too late as Visors uses the visor to great effect.
Exactly, living up to his namesake right there. And the best news for Primal is not only that clean team wipe onto Looks and Death, but they're still going to have 4 ultimates to try and continue to hold this. 2 support ults, Cultural Leo with that Valkyrie, Oh No Potato ready with the sound barrier, and both tank ultimates. Looks and Death, they're going to have a hard time making any kind of inroads here, as they don't really have some huge bursty team wiping ultimate like a Junkrat Tire or a Pulse Bomb online.
And that's the big thing to look for here. They do have a Primal Rage, then to Transcendence at the very least. Try and handle some of these. Self-destruct going to get thrown out high into the air here. Won't force anything, but it'll at least push everyone back onto the side of Looks and Death as they now look to re-engage here. Pulse Bomb missing the target. Might have gotten a little bit of damage onto Flawless, but using the Primal Rage doesn't matter. Visor's able to hit a good Helix Rocket to take out Hitakatsu. And now the defense starting to get another good one as it's 60 seconds left here.
60 seconds remaining. It's time for Looks and Death to back off here. Red Pill and Severe Matrix get staggered out. However, there's going to be 10 more seconds gone from the clock before Looks and Death can re-engage as a full 6. Cultural Leo takes that time to bring Visors back into the mix. This Soldier 76 has been a key DPS player for this Primal team thus far. However, second, he's going to have that attack Visor far back before Visors can have his. So this might be the opening that Looks and Death need.
They do have some of the ultimates to work with. The only problem here is the Visor just gets up for Visors. EMP out as well. Gets a couple of targets. Genji will get one, but a great Pulse Bomb from Red Pill takes out Visors before he can do any damage. So now here's the chance, as they need to just take out the couple of players around the cart. Self-destruct thrown out on top. Doesn't get anyone. The defense trying to hold here. They do have enough time to get back for one more hold if they can't clear off here. But they spread out enough. But it looks like they're going to be able to hold this one as nobody's able to get to the cart, and they just barely got around that first corner.
Unfortunate posthumous Graviton Surge from Severe Matrix will have no capitalization there. Looks and Death, they were trying their best to counterpick to what Primal was showing them on the defense, but unfortunately the EMP, the Sombra, just proving too strong of a hero, too strong of an ability. Every single time that EMP came out, it was Hitakotu, on the Zenyatta, I believe, who was getting deleted time and time again. I mean, Genji didn't even need that ultimate oftentimes to put pressure on that Zen, at least to take him out of the fight, and unable to, provide that healing or that Discord orb to the rest of the Primal defense. And so it looks like Primal on their offensive round, they're going to be showing this Sombra again.
How do you handle something like that? We do get to see the Sombra again, but when you have a Sombra that's really sort of decimating one particular character and probably the highest priority target that was on the side of Looks and Death in the Zenyatta, how do you, especially with the sort of the team composition they had, how do you manage to have enough support to make sure that your Zen isn't getting taken out so quickly?
It is going to be a very difficult ask. I mean, we've seen this happen in the Overwatch League, and there's been some really unique team compositions to come out
Attackers
in
incoming
response to
in
this. We've
30
seen Roadhog,
seconds.
Reaper, McCree compositions. You want to try and get, a hero that can self-sustain, that who's doesn't rely too heavily on their utility in order to get something done. So Reaper, of course, you could just WASD W mouse one all day long. McCree, of course, also very good with just his regular primary fire, and of course Roadhog as well.
Well, the good thing here is we do get to see some more Widowmaker play, and we get to see some more Sombra. So again, I'm happy. And we also get to see Junkrat, which is always fun to see. And those traps, if in the right places, can make life a nightmare, even for a invisible female character who can find Zenyatta's very easily.
Exactly. I mean, Lux and Death is Junkrat is going to make life very hard for both Visors and Genji. So this will be something, or Red Pill can simply take Genji's head off. That's another, that's another way to counter a Sombra. Just kill her with a beautiful dome. However, the rest of Primal, they're still trying to pressure this point.
And that's the difficult thing about where they ended up losing, as they do get some of the early picks needed. Visors still alive, though, on the Tracer, dealing damage. Diva Mech out and gone. Red Pill eliminating there with the help of Zek and Racer. But they're so close to that golden box is the issue with so much time. And they're able to get the last couple of kills needed, and they're going to take this map.
Here we have it, folks. In the blink of an eye, Primal will push the 1 point that they needed, finishing out Route 66, 4 points to 1. And so that is, we kind of saw on display there, unfortunately, one of the downsides of running a defensive Widowmaker. It's not just whether you get the kills, whether you're landing those shots, but when and who you're killing. And so Red Pill was able to get quite a bit of work done damage-wise, but Lux and Death were running out of bodies left and right to stall out the cart.
Some great work on the side of Primal, no doubt, and a tough go here again, though, for Lux and Death. And, they looked so good just a couple maps ago, and then these last two maps have been really hard for them, Going into this last map, what do you think needs to be the focus for them?
I think that this is a team that's shown a lot of great moments of individual brilliance. If you could just link those together into a cohesive team fight, pick a member of Primal that they want to delete really early on. I mean, Lux and Death has been running a pretty solid dive composition, and dive is all about, very short time to kill window slots. So as long as they get that Discord orb onto one of the members of Primal, tag and bag them, give themselves the man advantage in the fight right away, I think that Lux and Death, they can pull a couple of more points in our last map.
For the side of Primal now, we're going to see them, looks like they're going to be in the red this time finally. For this final map, what do you want to see from them, Ham? They've looked so good up until this point, but it's easy to get complacent when things are going your way. How do they keep from having that complacency?
I mean, keep the comms open, communicate with your team what you're doing, what the game plan is. Primal certainly has been having a lot better of a time in terms of teamwork compared to Lux and Death. However, as you mentioned, Labasco, it is very easy to get complacent, especially moving into the last fourth map of a series that you've already won fairly comfortably. And so I'll be looking to see, that the Tracers, the Genjis aren't overstaying their welcomes, getting caught out, here and there, not respecting sight lines, and just some of those small things. Lux and Death, though, this team, I'm going to be looking to watch them try and capitalize on those unforced errors from Primal, punish any kind of mispositioning from the enemy team, because Volskaya Industries can be a very snowbally map. Once you get something rolling, you might just be able to win out the map on momentum alone.
And Volskaya is a map again where we can see some more Sombra play on that first and second point. So, do you think we see from Primal some more of Genji on Sombra? Which is a weird thing to say.
Genji on Sombra, exactly.
Yes.
Oh no, focus the Genji! Genji, kill Genji, please! What? There's not a Genji on the point. I mean, Genji, the Sombra, the Genji who's playing Sombra! Oh, man alive. Maybe that's the 900 IQ plays Primal is bringing. It's just, you just confuse the enemy team with your weird player names.
Yes, visors, but there's no visor happening.
Exactly.
Oh no,
Oh,
potato.
oh no,
Where's the potato?
potato.
Like, what about a potato? Um, cultural Leos have culture. What?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, right. It's you have to live and breathe Overwatch. You have to have it, infiltrate every aspect of your online self, including your gamer tags, apparently. But yeah, so Primal, they will be on the attacking side first, I believe. Yep. And so Looks and Death are actually going to set up here with the double hit scan. Red Pill on the McCree and Zekin on the Soldier 76. A fairly unusual team composition.
Attackers
I wonder if they're
incoming in
expecting
30
maybe a
seconds.
Pharah. Zekin takes a dive off, so we might see a swap.
Yeah, so Zekin maybe just playing with us and having fun, and just wanted to leave a body at the bottom of the feet of a giant mech. Maybe he's a very big fan of Gundam Wing or even Galleon or something like that, and just wanted a better look.
Possibly, Pacific Rim. He was like,
Yep,
oh,
yep.
no, it's
5,
like,
4, 3,
Exactly.
are we drift compatible?
1. Attackers incoming.
Maybe not. I think that falling to the death is I'm a no.
A bad indicator, right?
Yes.
It's like the worst kind of trust fall. Oh, I guess I died.
Yeah, yep. Then there's no second trust fall, that's for sure.
No, yeah.
Well, Primal here, Ham, they're going to go around and take the high ground here to start off. They do have to try and deal with Red Pill on the other side. So what do? Flawless will jump on and deal some damage, and then Cultural Leo will throw out the orb to help finish him off, and Mayhem, though, finding visors here to make it 5v5. Flawless, though, jumping on Severe Matrix, gets it back in favor of this attacking team. Mayhem driving into Rogue Native, but Rogue Native able to survive through it and get healed up here as well, long enough to survive and help his team get a couple more. But there's the big Earth Shatter. Try and swing this back in favor. Not enough damage, and Zekin, the only one left alive, takes a breather, and now we'll use the whole hog to stall as long as possible to allow Red Pill to come back in time to get taken out, as they will take this first point for Primal.
Yeah, Primal with a pretty good, solid, and fast take here. I mean, Visors is going to be on the far, swaps off just as Red Pill picks up the Widowmaker, likely going to be looking to counter that bird in the sky. Fortunately, doesn't know that Primal has actually already swapped off, or excuse me, Visors has already swapped off onto the Genji now. That was a very expensive first point hold attempt for Looks and Death. Coming into the second one, they're only going to have the possibility of a coalescence from Midoriya to try and rebuff this team, whereas Primal, they'll be surging in with their ultimate pantry well stocked.
They're going to have to wait, though, because getting taken out was Oh No Potato at the very beginning there. A great shot from Red Pill in order to do that. So they do get stalled out at least a little bit here. But again, they do have such a big alt bank advantage. They have 5 ultimates to go in with here. Looks like they're going to initiate with Genji's EMP and hits a couple of targets. And now Coalescence to follow up. Self-destruct high into the air, goes into the bubble. So now no more shield on the point as Coalescence looks to just deal the damage and heal out as well, as they will eventually get control of this point. Just have to take out the Winston, and now they coalescing Midoriya, as Midoriya just tries to stall here as they are very close to their first tick.
Oh, yeah, and a single tracer here. Red Pill trying to do what he can to keep this point alive. Doesn't want to cede any more objective time, but Severe Matrix going to go down. 3 members of Looks and Death deleted immediately. So Primal looking ready and set to cap their second point here. Looks and Death, they need to get a full 6-man regroup. They can give up a couple more percentage ticks, but they can't keep trailing these bodies here. If you do, you're only going to get a last-second toe touch here. Desperation Valkyrie from Hikoki, but gets sucked up into that Graviton Surge, and that should be all she wrote as Visors draws that blade. Diva self-destruct even going to try and clean up things here as Mayhem trying his best. One lone monkey on the point. Midoriya going to be the last member to fall as Primal take it with 4 minutes 54 left.
They just were stalled out so bad, and when you have 4 more on that point, of course, we all know what that means is the respawns eventually start to take longer if you can consistently keep 4 on the point. So that was a snowball if we've ever seen one, and 4:54 is left on the clock.
Yeah, apt here in snowy Volskaya, but hey, Looks and Death, maybe they're even more apt at the Winter Wonderland activities. 4 minutes 54 seconds, certainly a very impressive time bank for Primal, but Looks and Death, they might be able to put up an even more impressive attack here. Zekin going to be showing the Tracer early on, Mayhem on the Reinhardt. No surprises from the defense, though it is going to be the Tracer 76 high ground hold with this dive.
I was wondering if we were going to see the Sombra on defense again. I'm a little sad that we're not. I've been enjoying watching Genji on Sombra, but now on the other side, it looks like we're going to see maybe not full dive. Mayhem right now on the Reinhardt instead of the Winston, so not going to be able to be jumping in with Red Pill and Zekin, who are right now on the Tracer and the Genji.
I want to see that. I want to see that poster in Overwatch League. Let Reinhardt rocket jump. So that would be just so frightening. I mean, another one that I think would be really great is let Reinhardt dash reset. Like you get
Attackers
a charge, and those
incoming in
charges, like
30
I'm a Rhine main,
seconds.
and those charges are like hard to land, man. You're always shoulder checking people out of the way. You're never really smashing them up against the wall really satisfyingly. So if you get one, I feel like you should be rewarded. You should like get another go. You know what I mean?
I was going to say Ham totally not showing at all that she's a Ryan main with her thoughts.
I'm sorry, I have
5,
to like mention it every
4,
single cast I do.
3,
It's terrible,
2,
yeah. But
1.
anyways, back to the game,
Attackers
folks. It will be
incoming.
Primal trying to
Defend
defend here
objective A.
against Looks and Death. A very impressive time bank. So Looks and Death definitely going to be looking to try and get this first point objective completed as quickly as possible. And they're pulling out that classic 2-2-2 dive.
Large German man charging into you multiple times in a row would be a very scary thing. That is for sure.
No kidding, right?
But we don't see him right now. Instead, Mayhem is back onto the Winston here, so we do not get to see the Reinhardt, unfortunately. But we do get to see this full-on dive, and we'll see how it goes. But it's starting off pretty well for the defending team as Genji and Visors kick out one support and one DPS. Severe Matrix does at least get the mech of Rogue Native, but that is not going to pay dividends here, but it could potentially in the next fight.
Certainly, I mean, that means that it's going to be very difficult for Primal to get much damage mitigation going here with Rogue Native demeched, as he is in a larval diva form, as I very unattractively heard somebody call her larval diva, because you know she like squirts out of her little metal cocoon. Anyways, all right, the metaphor's gone on far enough. But we saw in that last engagement, Looks and Death, their two tanks got split up there. Severe Matrix was completely occupied trying to ward away Genji's Tracer, whereas Mayhem was trying to dive Primal's supports. And so with both of those tanks' attention peeled in half like that, Looks and Death's own squishies were easy battle fodder for Primal.
The only thing that's unfortunate is Rogue Native already got back into mech, and Severe Matrix, who got out of mech there towards the end, decided to dive off the side, does at least get the mech back, avoids the pulse bomb there too, and now we'll get healed back up. Oh no, not gonna get healed up fast enough though, as Rogue Native comes in and takes out the mech of his counterpart, and now a chance here though to try and push in anyways. You just gotta try it. Self-destruct coming up for Rogue Native here. Gonna have to probably use it. Sound barrier though to counter it. Hikaru gets caught out though, and now there's a chance here maybe for them to stream onto this point and try and turn things around. Dashing in with the Dragon Blade is Red Pill, gets one before the sound barrier comes out. Visors though with the visor can't kill through the Transcendence though. And it's still pretty even here. Chance to maybe take this point. They do have the quicker respawns. Just have to get this diva out of mech.
There we go, Severe Matrix trying his best over here to stay alive on the point, get enough time for the rest of the reinforcements to come back in on. So it is going to be a 3v3 currently, but Genji does get to take down that little baby diva. I have to believe that's child abuse in most states, but nonetheless, Looks and Death, they are brawling it out here. They're down to their last minute and change. The Primal Rage was actually popped by Mayhem, although he goes down in an instant. I mean, 1,000 HP, gonna become 0 in the blink of an eye, 1v6. Now, Looks and Death, they're going to have one, possibly two more pushes here. Severe Matrix going to have that diva self-destruct. Red Pill about 50% up to yet another Dragon Blade. It's going to be about drawing out ultimates from Primal early on.
Self-destruct, one that they can draw out fairly quick if they can get the diva to have to use out of mech. Genji uses the pulse bomb, doesn't get anything for it. Cultural Leo with the defensive ult on the Mercy as well with Valkyrie. So they're going to go to the high ground here to try and take this. 30 seconds left. Mayhem jumping onto the Mercy early on. Self-destruct thrown onto the point here. Severe Matrix. It's one to Rogue Native gets two, and it's both support players that spells disaster here unless the Dragon Blade can do enough damage.
Oh, there we go. Redfield doing his best, trying to put on this carry pants, but he's getting Tesla cannon. There's still a Valking Mercy in the air, applying all of that chain healing. It's going to be
10
just too
seconds
much
remaining.
for Looks and Death to cut through. Unfortunately, when you draw that Genji Blade, you want to bring a sword to the battle and not a butter knife, and now they're going to have to contend with this Tack Visor as well from Visors. Overtime ticking down. Monkey gets his butt onto the payload, onto the objective, but he's the only member left from Looks and Death. And as the overtime wick burns down, that will be all she wrote. Primal, they take Volskaya as well.
Very good take from them as well. They had a very good offensive push, and then defensively, they get a full hold. They don't even give up a tick. Thoughts of what you saw from Primal in this last map, but also throughout this entire game?
I think, unfortunately, it just came down to the team coordination. It is also worth noting that there is a fairly significant an SR difference between these two teams. I believe Primal is sitting at about 2.9k, Looks and Death at 2.5. So, we can't judge these teams too harshly, but I think the lack of coordination was clear in terms of Looks and Death's dives. We saw oftentimes that the tanks were getting split up, not just between the Winston and the D.Va, but also not really able to get the coordination down between themselves and their diving DPS.
The one thing I think that's good, though, if you're a team like Looks and Death, when you play better competition, the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to get better. You have to not get frustrated, and you just have to look at the tape afterwards and see how you can improve. I think that's always the biggest thing, is going back and looking. You know, we always talk about hindsight is great to have as a caster, because you can point out when things went wrong, but that's also something as a team that you can take as criticism and then turn it into making your team better.
Absolutely. There's always something that can be learned even in defeat. And certainly, Looks and Death, they had a lot of great individual moments of clarity. And so once they're able to string those together, get that coordinated dive going, I have no doubt we'll see a vast improvement from them moving on into the future windows of this Discord Throwdown.
Yeah, and I'm excited to watch more of Primal as well. I think they looked really, really good in this one, Ham. I think that they showed some great, like you said, not just one player, but all around team synergy. When DPS players are able to shine like the way we saw them shine for Primal today, that's generally because your tanks and your support are doing what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's for sure the case with Primal.
Yeah, I mean, that's once again, Overwatch is a team game. It's not just about stealing those moments in the spotlight for yourself, but facilitating your teammates to allow them to shine in their own capacity. So enough waxing poetic, though. I believe that a PKDI probably going to be looking to bring in our winning team captain.
Yeah, I think we're going to be. Just I think we're trying to figure out who is going to be coming in.
Okie dokie. Yeah.
So just a matter of waiting for that, regardless of who we get to talk to, though, Ham. I'm excited to hear what their thoughts were on this game and for them, what they want to do moving forward.
That is always it's always interesting. Like, one of my favorite parts about watching Owl is actually when they, we get to hear the team comms, even though it's, it's always in those really hype moments. So you don't actually get too much insight. It's just, monkey, D.Va, what, kill the Genji, please.
Yeah!
Genji, he is debuffed. I always remember Unko's screams to kill the Genji. He's debuffed. He is debuffed. Anyways.
I think the one that sticks out for me, and maybe it's just because I'm an Effect fan, is him screaming, please, someone, Cool Matt.
Kill Cool Matt. Oh. The plaintive wails of a lone tracer. Feels bad, man.
Feels bad, but they're getting better. And that's the important thing.
Yes, that's certainly true.
Hello,
congratulations on your win, man.
thank you.
So, got to ask thoughts after the win there. What did you think of your team's performance?
I think from our other performances, we communicated a lot better. We were focusing targets a lot more and not just going after people and not listening to each other.
And that's one of the things, too, that you guys actually have that you're looking to improve upon the most. So, obviously, when you give yourself a grade for that, you're going to give yourself a passing grade that things are going in the right direction for that communication.
Yeah.
And now, what about the communication is the most important thing that you were looking for? Like, what was your team not doing or needed to do more of?
the most important thing was people would just like if they were going after somebody, they would call them out, even like if they're not low, just to get them killed. But then we want to go after like specific people, and it's really important for like our main tank to do that. So having somebody able to do that, and sometimes it gets a little like the comms get a little crammed with people yelling that stuff. So it's better to have just one person doing that.
Yeah, it's not just, you know, the quantity of communication, but kind of the quality, right? You had a clear line of engagement that the entire team is kind of following throughout, you know, the fight. I think that was actually very apparent that you guys were talking really well, a lot of really great clean dives coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I was curious to know is, as far as the roles of everybody, was there anything that you guys were experimenting with, or was this sort of the game plan for all of these maps is exactly what you guys wanted to do? I know there's a little bit of switching from some of the things that we saw, I think, on Oasis, but as far as like team comps, how comfortable are you guys with what you've been running?
I think we were pretty comfortable. The one thing that we could do a little better is I don't remember. I think it was on King's Row. We were initially going to have somebody that is a Widowmaker main on there so they could actually be able to play that, but he wasn't able to make it, so we had to change it a little bit. But I think we did well on that.
Yeah, I think that was you guys. I think went with triple tank. Is that like kind of like a last resort sort of a comp for you more so? Is triple tank not like the like that second comp you want to go to?
Yeah, that's one of our like last ones. We either want to go with I think a Widowmaker and a Tracer to put like the pressure on them, or we just want to go quad tank, but triple tank is kind of down there.
That is interesting. I mean, I was actually really impressed with your Sombra play on Route 66. I mean, you guys basically you full held them right around that first corner in front of Big Earls. And is the Sombra something that you guys just decided to pull out? You're like, hey, she's gotten buffed. You know, might as well throw in this Sombra. Is that a strategy that you've been practicing with? Because it looked
Well,
really clean.
yeah, the funny thing with that is actually Visors like played Sombra a lot, and then we were gonna have him on Sombra, but then we were like, hey, we might as well experiment with putting Genji on Sombra instead.
Yeah, he did pretty
Also,
good.
Yeah,
yeah, no kidding. I mean, I feel like the Zenyatta was first up to the chopping block every single fight.
yeah,
And yeah, and also I just love the fact that Genji is called Genji. Is the Genji on the Sombra? Genji takes down on the Tracer, takes down the Mercy. Blah, blah.
yeah.
uh,
No, but it's been fun. We look forward to seeing more of you guys. Any final thoughts for you, or anything else you'd like to say?
Not really. I just think we did a lot better than we thought we would. We were coming into it obviously wanting to win, but at the end of the day, we didn't really think that we would do that well.
And it was.
good.
Yeah, I'll go ahead, Ham.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. I mean, pat on the back though. Not time to get lazy, but you have to recognize. It was a very impressive performance. So once again, just congratulations.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, thank you very much. And I think we'll throw it back to PK here and let him take over.
Yep, I am here. Thank you once again, guys. Some killer casting, and we really love it. It helps us kind of amplify just the community and what we're putting together. I think everybody's really glad to have you guys here.
Glad to be here. It's a lot of fun. Some good games, and it's fun to watch people play. And also, this is obviously there's bragging rights, but we can see that there's obviously an importance to trying to improve from all these teams, and I think that's
yeah,
really
most
cool.
definitely. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff to learn, and it'll be really interesting to see how these teams develop over the season. We had 3-4-0s to start this off, so I'm interested to see some of these teams that won play each other, and some of these teams that lost play each other. Kind of really see where the middle of this season, the middle of this quote unquote league, which I'm not supposed to say, how it fills out. But yeah, they don't know. They don't watch us. They don't care enough about us yet. But anyway, yeah, how the middle of this season really fills out. I'm interested to see where these random wins and losses come and these closer matches start to happen.
Mhm.
Well,
And
all
can't wait
right.
to cast them.
Yeah,
So
no, bring it on. We love you
Exactly.
guys. There's about I think there's like 20 matches or something, so we'll bring on some more people too, just so that more people can learn. But we're definitely gonna have you guys back, no doubt. I can't wait to hear you guys keep the tone of this thing rolling strong.
Yeah, I can't
awesome.
wait.
All right. Well, you guys have a lovely day. Thank you to everyone who's watching, everyone who's playing, and everyone who's casting. And we'll see you next window for the. Actually, we'll see you tonight for the announcement show. We're going to announce the new windows, new matchups, and the new maps for the next window. So, see you guys soon or whatever. And by that I mean people watching, casters. You guys can hang out if you want. All right. Bye, guys.